18 by 24, thick profile, oils, and the title is The Tumult of Existence is Not for Everyone. Bad Experiments Masquerading as Originality. I'll explain this right now. Okay, so, let's start with Tim Robinson. This does not particularly look like Tim Robinson, not just because the hair's green and it's a little looser, but this is one of those things, again, where it was like technical issues led to creative solutions, maybe, or maybe not creative at all, and just really like a cop-out, whatever you want to throw in there. So, the movie Friendship. I saw that in theaters with a friend, and it stuck with me in a bunch of different ways, and kind of just like, this phrase, on the edge of life, is repeated multiple times, and one of the common things that I've said here a bunch is that whatever you're referencing, if you're referencing, like, if we're referencing being on the edge of life, I think we're also on the edge of death. And that is just how I kind of read things like that, or how I play with those in my titles and text and whatever else, or just referencing something means we're referencing the opposite. So I think that's one thing, the edge of life, like that being something that was repeated in the film multiple times, 2 or 3, if not more. I think 3 for sure. I'm just going to show you some of that while I talk. But yeah, it definitely stuck with me. I'm getting some horror. There we go. That's a little more accurate to color. Anyway, it stuck with me a little bit. It wasn't like something super, super profound, but it was also just humorous the way that it was brought up, and just like, Tim Robinson's character just being like, I'm on the edge of life. Like, it is kind of this thing of like, you think that what you're doing is so amazing that you are really living, and just like that expression alone just brings a question of like, are you really living? Are you not? And that kind of is why this is, in the body of work, which I'm still unsure of the title, and I've been changing things around with the artist statement. But Majesty and the Duty of Death is what I'm thinking of. But the self-portrait work that deals with these questions of mortality and mental health, and intention and purpose infused in that. So, The Tumult of Existence is not for everyone. Originally, this was going to be the title, On the Edge of Life, but The Tumult of Existence is not for everyone was a phrase that I think I don't remember exactly how it came into my mind, but it was while I was painting. And it might have been while I was painting this piece or right after, but I wrote it with a paint marker on a lighter. And then I was like, oh, I should use that as the title and put the text of On the Edge of Life down there, because that also helps with some of like the technical stuff of like, after I had painted the shirt, I realized I didn't like the shirt. And there's also just some technical challenges and stuff that happened within the face. And then I started playing around with that and getting loose with that, and then just like not needing it to be as accurate. I think it's one of those instances where I'm like, you don't need to recognize the character. You recognize that it is a human and a person, and we're talking about life. Also, there are some similarities here between another painting I did that was also an 18 by 24 done in oils, but it was of me. Some similar color palette stuff going on is that my skin tone was orange versus I made the shirt orange. And there was this huge like section of like blue, and it very much was like drowning in this sea of anxiety and potential death. And so even just being on the edge of life, you're on the edge of death, that's playing a role. And this kind of harkens to that other piece as well. It is kind of like paired with it in a way, or relates to it a little more directly, like visually, than some of the other ones. Where was I? Also, yeah, where do we go with this? So, bad experiments masquerading as originality. I think part of that. I was talking to a friend, the friend that I saw the movie with. So I was talking to Jordan. I brought Jordan up so many times before that I may as well just say his name. So we were talking about the film and stuff, and at some point, I don't know, a week or two after, he had that phrase, but I don't even remember what the context was about bad experiments masquerading as originality. And I was thinking of this piece and the looseness and whatever else, and just like the bad experiments masquerading as originality. I'm like, is that what I'm doing here? So I was even questioning myself working on this piece, and like the looseness in the face, and like what is the purpose of that, and just like the changing of a face, not just an expression, but contorting and like changing of, again, not just expression, but like this isn't necessarily the face that I thought it was. This isn't the life that I necessarily thought it was. And what does being on the edge of life mean? All those things kind of creep in here. I think that is kind of the majority of the work. Automatically, just because it's referencing the movie, it's interesting because nothing about this or the text or the colors or approach have any humor injected in it. I don't feel that it does, but the movie certainly does, like a ton. And this being taken from the inspiration being the movie Friendship and Tim Robinson's character especially, and that phrase, the edge of, like, I'm on the edge of life, and the way that it was expressed. I think if someone catches that, then they can see this piece in a different way. And even me talking about it, if you haven't seen the film, I think that you would approach this differently if you see the film and know that this has that this is drawing some inspiration from it. And again, with asking questions, I think that with the body of work as a whole, it asks a lot of questions about the life you live, and what is the intention, what is the purpose, what are you doing. It brings legacy into account as well. And not that all those themes are being explored in the movie the same way at all, but going even back to like the tumult of life, or the tumult of existence is not for everyone, I think that's the most humorous part that I've injected in here. And I don't think anything, again, visual is giving that nod, but the title is. And again, the text on here I don't think necessarily is, unless you know the delivery and who's saying it and why and when and where, then it can. But life's not for everyone. Basically, the challenges of life are not for everyone. And then the question is, am I saying that it's not for me? That happens from time to time. And I think a lot of people could relate to that, being like, I can't do this, or I don't know how to do this, or I can't handle this, and all those things. So I think it's pretty universal in that aspect, which is also why I'm like, I don't need to use my face for everything, especially when I'm referencing a specific moment from, a film or a book or whatever. And in this case, I had a visual. And that reference photo is not from the film. It is just looking up a picture of Tim Robinson that I wanted to use and then putting it there. But again, in the context of what I see for this whole show, like, there's just parallels between pieces, whether in like color palette, title, theme, and meaning, but also the composition of how it's created. And I think it'll be really interesting to just like start seeing those parallels, because there's more of them that are happening as I'm kind of like really coming to a close with this exhibition. It's not an exhibition yet, with this body of work, and finding a place for it is a whole other thing. But anyway, that is The Tumult of Existence is Not for Everyone. Bad experiments masquerading as originality. I forgot to say the other portion of that title, Bad Experiments Masquerading as Originality, could also be taken as life or life forms, and this whole thing being a bad experiment. So there you go.